or how many house shows he worked, but so forth, so on. But he may took some time off. I can't remember how his schedule was back then, or was too long ago. But
I don't know anything about hunting, so I can't speak to that.
Well, shame on you. Just kidding.
Couldn't do it.
I'm ready to go hunting myself. I got deer and hogs running around this property. So I'm ready for it. I showed you that picture I had the other day. I'll text you that later on. But anyways,
so the final and the ScrewJob commences. Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. So I'm going to ask you, do you think it was a work or a shoot on the ScrewJob?
I don't think it was a work, honestly. This was going so far. I mean, there's been a couple people, at least I've heard, that think it was just some kind of work, and that was just a way out. I don't believe it was. With all the emotions and everything that's been going on for the last since 97 and 23 years, and it's just I just don't think it was. I've heard different point of views, different people claiming this and that, and even people claiming that Russo or Cornette, especially DS Russo, came up with the idea about it. Only from what I've heard on both sides of the story, and obviously, and back then I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what was going on, because I didn't really look at the business as the same way I did, years later, or even today. There's a lot of different business. Plus, we don't have social media back then. It was different too. And I feel wish I can do it. Well, because it opened up the doors for the reality. It was to where Brett didn't want to give up the title. Apparently, was drop it, especially in Canada, and so of course Shawn Michaels. There's a heat with that, and to me, if you're Vince McMahon, if you're the owner of that company, you're there to also protect your entity. So your properties are your most coveted things are the title. And if he's on possibly take off with him to a different company, which he already had made a deal with WCW, at that part, you got to do something. I'm not saying it's the best way. I mean, honestly, there's other ways to go around it, and they could have, had it Taker and Brett. He could have dropped the title to Taker, or at least, I think the bigger problem was more or less dropping it to Shawn too. And you could have dropped it out of Raw. You could have dropped it next, something. So there's ways I think they could have avoided it, but they didn't. And there was a lot of issues in that, and a lot of guilt, and a lot of pissed off feelings. And I think you got to give McMahon a little bit of credit on. I mean, we don't give him a lot of credit this show, but he at least took a punch. He's like, "Hey, you got one shot, Brett. Take it." And they're in the locker room after the show, and Brett took a shot, and that's why Vince wound up the black eye. And I remember that interview he did the next night on Raw. Brett screwed Brett.
Yeah, I can see how it could be both. That's the sad part, being a work or whatnot, and being an elaborate ruse. But it is what it is. I dug the match up until the ending. I gave it a 7, but it's one of those where I don't think we'll actually officially know until one of them dies.
Why do you think that?
Because I don't think Vince McMahon's going to mention it because that was a work, because Brett's going to sue. I don't think Brett's going to mention it because I think Vince McMahon will sue. I don't think we'll ever know the official truth.
Yeah. It's just, I guess, like I said, I understand the official truth. Because you got, one side of the story, their side of the story, and then you have, obviously, whatever may be in the middle. And then it's, I don't know, there's all the point of views that I've heard that were people over there. It all kind of explains itself in a way as far as you kind of put the puzzle pieces together, and it's like you hear it's kind of like it adds up. Mm-hmm. But Brett knows he feels like he's got screwed out of the title, and it was done the wrong way. Like I said, they could avoid it different ways. And even Taker's even talked about is like, why they just dropped the title? Why didn't Brett dropped title on me, and then Shanka took it, a month later, how many months later, that would have been a better way of doing it. But it didn't happen that way, and it always goes down as the biggest screw job in wrestling. And and they try to do the same thing, try to duplicate that back at, you remember that one, Money in the Bank.
With CM Punk?
CM Punk and Cena, they try to duplicate him like you're just, they were trying to duplicate that.
Everyone's trying to duplicate this.
And, it was a tough situation. Sad situation, of course, too. I was talking to you kind of earlier. One thing about the WWE Network, they didn't show the whole ending, and I was looking at the time frame, like there was like 2 minutes left. I'm like, there's more time left, and then they haven't even done the screw job yet. Did that? They didn't show or Brett finger pointed whatever drew in the air WCW, and they didn't show the last, like I say, about a minute and a half left. I guess it was. Mm-hmm. They didn't show that on the network, but you see that I saw it live. If you've seen it live or on VHS tape, you'll see it then. But they didn't show it on the network again. So maybe it's for this Brett finger pointed gesturing the letters WCW. I don't know. But I noticed that I was like, okay, that was not the whole ending, but okay. But this is a tough situation, man. And Owen stayed there. I think he was. I think if I remember correctly, here he was trying to. Yeah, they didn't. I think he may have requested his release. I think JR said. It didn't, and then obviously it didn't happen. But I think JR said it a while back. But obviously he stayed there till his death.
Right.
So.
You didn't say how you ran into this match.
Oh, I didn't? Oh, I'm sorry. I gave it a 7.
No. So you're not on the same page with it.
Okay.
This is probably going to be one of the more infamous Survivor Series ever at this point.
I'm sorry. Was that you said?
This is probably the more infamous of Survivor Series up until this point.
Definitely. It's the most famous Survivor Series there's ever been. I mean, the only Survivor Series besides this that has a huge mark in my memory is the one that, you actually went to Tampa, where they dumped Triple H from the forklift to the car.
Yeah.
Forklift off the,
the one I was physically at.
Yeah, where Stone Cold dumped him off the forklift inside the car. Yeah, that's the only one I can. That's of course you have the invasion ending too, but this is the most famous one there is, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, is there anything else you want to add about this Survivor Series?
Nope.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything either. So we're going to call that an episode. Again, that was us talking about the 1997 Survivor Series. They call it Gang Rules, but we might as well just call it ScrewJob. You can find us on Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter, WrestlingSCool. And Mark will take it over from here.
Instagram at WrestlingStillCool. And Facebook, WrestlingStillCool. Or you can email us at WrestlingStillCool@gmail.com. Say hello. Say what's the name about our podcast or what you want us to review, etc. Or you can DM us on social media.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your night, and thank you for joining us for this one. And remember, if you need an American icon, you get Golddust.